So this is my first presentation, and I'm very, very nervous, but I am very, very excited to be here today. So my name is Alfonzo, and we will be talking about morality and ethics today. So my presentation here is called Moral Conversations and Dilemmas. So we're going to be doing a lot of things. We're going to be hopefully stimulating self-conversation and amongst you and your peer group. So this is really to engage and really think about think critically about our ethical lives and in relation to the world, really. So what we'll be covering today, so what we'll be covering today is objective morality, subjective morality, the difference between them, and stuff of that nature. So first and foremost, I have acknowledgements, disclaimers, and a bit of rules, and then we'll go into a little bit of topics. So one of the biggest disclaimers I have here, I'm going to read it out loud. So I do not claim to be an expert in ethics or to be an ethicist or anything. The information here presented today is just a culmination of my personal studies in morality and ethics. Nothing expressed here should be taken too seriously nor too lightly. Disagreement should not be used as invalidation towards another character. Just because you don't agree or like with someone has to say does not really mean that you should ignore what they have to say, or have ever said. Nor should you, in full faith, agree with everything that somebody has to say. So new information here may cause cognitive dissonance, okay? I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with the cognitive dissonance, and I'm pretty sure that's not going to be a big deal here today. But a lot of what we will be discussing will affect your actions and rationality, and if taken seriously, will affect your character. So be honest with yourself, use discernment, and this is intended for educational purposes only. Educational purposes to help you think critically about your ethical lives and habits in relation to the world, right? So, I forgot my acknowledgement. So my first and foremost, the acknowledgement that who I want to acknowledge is my parents, who cannot be here today because they have a lot of things to do at home, I should say. So, my parents that have, basically, if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be here. And, first and foremost. Yesterday was my birthday, so happy birthday to me. I wanted a special dedication to my mom, because if it wasn't for my mom, I wouldn't be here. Second, I want to acknowledge and thank Paul and Lauren for doing incredible work today. I mean, this is pretty awesome, don't you guys think? My ethics professor, Dr. Ryan Falcioni from Chaffey College, for sparking my curiosity in ethics. So without him, I probably would not be speaking here today. Mark Passio for contributing the great work and helping bring us together, really. And on a side note, I want to acknowledge my friend Tim for actually piquing my interest and like showing me the work of Mark Passio. And fifth and foremost, all my friends here today, everyone here, basically, I just want to acknowledge and thank you all for coming. Thank you all, because this is a great opportunity to meet people and stuff, right? All right, so I have 3 main rules, all right? So be conscious about your surroundings, as well as your inner dialogue. And something that I want to take away from Mark Passio, he always likes to say, get as emotional as offended as you like. But I like to switch it to get as emotional as you like, because not only will you be offended, you will also be inspired, right? So get as emotional as you like. So regarding comments, questions, and conversations, let there be respect for those who speak and use respectful language. And let's try to let one voice be heard, right? Speak without shame or guilt, and listen with an open mind and compassion. And number 3, if you do feel so inclined to share amongst social media, please use context in order to have understanding amongst those who are not here to participate, and let them know what we are discussing. So what we'll be discussing today is morality, what it is, what moral status is, what moral agency is, the differences between cognitive and non-cognitive theories, which is kind of it'll when we get there, it's completely super simple. What is moral relativism? And what is universalistic ethics and their differences. And fifth and foremost, the crux of the matter, like we'll talk about ethical dilemmas, what you should do, what you should not do, what we do, what we're currently doing, and so forth. So first and foremost, what is ethics? So ethics is, well, let's break it down in an etymological standpoint. So ethics comes from ethos, meaning cultural norm or habit from the Greek. And morals is basically moralis, meaning custom in Latin. But so what we'll be talking about here today is so if I ever say ethics or morals, basically meaning the same thing, right? So who here could tell us what morality is? What is morality? Go ahead. Right and wrong. Golden rule. What else?
Obeying your conscience.
Obeying your conscience. Okay, sounds good. Where do we get these? Huh? Do not steal. Do not steal. Where do we get these values? Source. All right, good. So a deity, right? Something outside of yourself, right? Who else?
Source, but yes.
Source. Where else? Experience. Very good. Upbringing. Very good. What else? What else? Culture?
Yeah.
No.
Old writings.
Old writings. Very good. So, all right. So, what is moral status?
It's a new word.
That is a new, right? Right?
Judgment of yourself.
Close to that, a little bit. Let me give you an example. All right. So, an example. Someone breaks into my room and rips apart my teddy bear. Right? Oh my gosh, my teddy bear. Why would anyone do that? Most people would think, right? Most people would think that person acted wrongly, right? But why? Who did you wrong? Did you wrong the teddy bear? No, you wronged me. So what marks the difference between me and my teddy bear? What makes it the case that that another person has a moral obligation to me and not my teddy bear? So what's the difference between me and my teddy bear?
Consciousness.
Consciousness? Go ahead. Sure. So I have feelings and my teddy bear does not. Okay. What else? Ownership. Okay. Okay, sure. What do we have moral obligation to? And why? What do you... To be kind, right. But who do we have moral obligation to? Ourselves. Sure. So other people. Right. And what does something minimally have to have in order for it to be an object of moral concern? Life. Sentience. Okay, sure. And so that would be a criteria of what it means to have moral status, right? Like rationality, right? If someone is rational, or if a being is, acts in rationalities, right? Does it need to have language?
Does it have free will?
Free will, sure. Does it need to have awareness, right? Right. So what accounts for harming someone with moral status? We punish people all the time, right? Huh? Choice. Okay. So we have choice, right? What's the reason why we cause suffering in some cases and in other cases not? Does anyone have an answer?
Can you clarify what you mean?
So yeah, sure. So let's see. Let's take it into a legal kind of arena, right? So let's say that there are two cases. One of them is a person killing someone, right? Now, if you are, let's say, a black male, right, and you killed a white female, you will get what, years in jail, maybe possibly like capital punishment, right? But if you're a female, a white female killing another white female, what do you get? Less time, right? Why is that? Why is that the case? Bad justice system, right? And now, do only human beings have moral status? And is there a way to find this out without being speciesist? Does anyone know what speciesism is? Yeah. Yes? All right. So speciesism is the belief that one speciesism is important over another, right? The assumption that the assumption of human superiority and the exploitation of animals, right? So is there a way to know that only human beings have moral status without being speciesist?
I haven't figured it out yet.
Not yet, right? Do we know why it's wrong? Why speciesism is wrong? We can cause harm, yeah, of course.
We don't have authority over them.
Yeah.
Right, animal rights, correct, right? So speciesism is wrong for the same reason that racism and sexism are, right? So they are all forms of prejudice in favor of one group over another, solely on the basis of membership in a particular biological category, right? Now, what makes any species unique? And does that make them morally valuable? Huh? Strength?
The way they communicate?
Sure.
Usually uniqueness is defined as if they can reproduce within a certain group. So an individual species can only reproduce with itself.
Okay.
That's typically how it's defined.
Right. Okay. Sure. Social structures. So there's a hierarchy, right? There's a moral hierarchy, right? So you wouldn't lose sleep over, accidentally stepping over an ant, but you would kind of like, if you were an ethically alive person, be kind of distraught if you were stepping over children, right? So there is like a moral hierarchy, right? So why does moral culpability only affect humans and not animals? Because we know better.
As far as
We
we
also
know,
don't know
better.
if it does.
Okay, sure.
We don't know how they govern.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Excuse me, I'm sorry. There are two people talking at the same time.
Sometimes the animals know better too.
Sure. Absolutely. Point taken. So, hold on. So animals cannot comprehend consequences and actions,
We don't know that.
right? Do we not know that?
Not really.
Well, human. That's good. That's a good thing but since we are human, we have a higher intelligence and understanding of what causes and consequences are, right? Yeah. Whereas animals have instincts. Sure, they know like certain things cause something else, but do they have the same amount of intelligence as we do?
We don't really know.
Maybe. Who knows? Maybe.
Elephants have more brain cells than we do.
Elephants do.
Yes.
Wow, I didn't know that. A whale, a dolphin, maybe.
Them more intelligent.
Yeah.
Just we don't.
So what we're talking about right now is moral agency, and who has moral agency? So it's moral agency isn't something that like I can grant, like, oh, I can grant you more moral agency and you should be responsible for whatever. No. Well, moral agency is someone, or a moral agent, I should say, is someone who has the ability to discern right from wrong, and they can and also should be held accountable for their own actions. One who deserves to be punished if they create wrongdoings, right? So you all are moral agents, right? Because you do understand, you have the intelligence to understand that your actions can cause harm, right? And there are also moral patients. People, places, things that aren't people, who are of value, and they are vulnerable to human actions. and which cannot be affected for good or ill by good or ill or for ill by human actions, and cannot be considered moral. Cannot. Wait, hold on. I wrote this wrong. Okay, let me read this. Things or people who are valuable or vulnerable to human actions, which cannot be affected for good or for ill by human actions, cannot be considered to be moral patients at all. Or moral agents, I should say. Moral responsibilities or moral agents to which attitudes such as moral concern, respect, and care can be directed to. So it's someone who so a baby is basically a moral patient until they gain an intelligence, right? It's basically what it is. So what really sets us apart is someone who is someone's what really sets us apart from someone who is ethically dead, from someone who is morally conscious, is the ability to take in new information into your perception and reality and not fall into cognitive dissonance. So we all have like moral statements, right? So what is a moral statement? So like, don't kill. Sure. What else? Do no harm. Be nice. Okay. What else? Don't steal. Fantastic. Very good. I have an example here for you guys. Okay. So let's just say that you witness somebody stealing a car, right? And this actually happens, and it's not really like an illusion or anything, but this actually happens, and you're a witness. What can you say that you saw? Crime, right? What car it is?
How do you know they stole the car?
So, like you intuitively know that like someone like breaks in and then like hot wires the car or whatever, and that's literally not their car, right? So like what color it is, what the person looked like, right? You could list the list goes on and on and on. Now, in this infinite list of like everything that what you saw or whatever, can you add to the list and they were wrong for doing this?
No.
Right? You can't. This can never be added since it's a value. It's a judgment. It's not a fact. It's a value judgment. Right? There is no amount of checking the facts about a moral issue, even because in theory you cannot verify how you feel. Right? So emotive. This is what we call emotivism. So this is a non-cognitive theory. Non-cognitive being relating to your feelings and emotions, something that you're not really like consciously aware of, right? So there, according to A.J. Ayer, philosopher, you really don't really know about him because you shouldn't really care. But he says that there is no meaning in moral statements. Emotivism is a cognitive theory in ethics which claims that there are no moral truths, and that statements are neither truth nor false. They are simply expressions of feelings. If they were, if this were true, then there would be no such thing as objective moral truths. Now, this is where solipsism comes in, right? Solipsism is like, there's really nothing to know, right? So solipsism would fall into like a category of non-cognitive theories. But right now we're talking about emotivism, and this is like one of the theories that no one really talks about, really, because like no one really cares that. Actually, I don't know if people care. Do people care that moral statements are true or not? Some people? Yeah? Okay. So the fact is that we care about things that we cannot prove. No. So the fact is we care about the things that we cannot prove, right? So we cannot prove love, right? You can't prove, a bunch of things that we really do care about. And all the things that are worth living for are meaningless, right? It's just a different standard of meaning, right? So is there a method to verify or prove ethics as a fact? Can philosophy become a science? Yes, maybe? Okay. How would you go about doing it?
Based off the results you get,
Sure.
that determines whether something's moral or not.
Sure. Okay.
Both internally and externally.
Ooh, I like that.
Okay.
How I act in my daily life affects how I feel
Okay.
internally. So it's almost like the feelings that I experience are the evidence to me.
Okay, so like you're going based on your feelings, right? Your intuition.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Anybody else?
Well, energy follows thought. So whatever you're thinking is how your energy would be.
Sure.
That would cause the result in a physical form.
Yeah.
Which one would experience, or one other would experience through one in that moment.
So we're talking about energy, right? Yeah, that's good. That's point well taken. Well, the problem is that most people taking the bait. This is the most people taking the bait. Most of the things that we believe in are the most things that we believe that are important to us cannot be proven. How can you prove energy, right?
Well,
In
I
metaphysics,
can't say
Sure.
that energy can be proven, but I can say that energy can be experienced in different forms.
Sure, absolutely, and I'm right there with you.
Well, when I say that energy can be experienced, energy is derived of thoughts, feelings, and emotions.
Sure, absolutely.
The feelings is how you feel in the moment. And this feeling, the creator of the feeling is you.
Right.
And we are the creators.
That's good. Point well taken. I like that. I like that a lot, actually.
and can I say one
Go ahead, please do.
That is exactly what quantum physicists are and metaphysicists are. That's what they attempt to prove.
Good.
Is energy and our, so in that essence, but there's also a lot of other physicists would call it not science.
Okay.
But there are other sciences that were not considered science until now.
Until now, right? So we're always discovering something about something, really, right? Quantum physics, quantum mechanics, really. But the thing is that we don't lose entitlement to say if they are true, because there are different types of truths, right? There are different types, right? So if you try to turn a philosophical or ethical statement into like a scientific or empirical statement, you often lose its meaning, right? So like, or misunderstand it, or confuse it. For example, saying Jesus lives in my heart, right? So a lot of people would say Jesus lives in my heart. But if you really get down to it, that doesn't really mean like little baby Jesus like living in your heart. Like if you dissect it, right? Like no, like you find a little baby Jesus, right? No, you're not really gonna find Jesus in your heart, right? So you can't really prove ethics into a science, but you can't really prove ethics like you could math. And even if you could, it might fail, right? So whoever's like, no one should want to say ethics was a science. Right? Even though that's kind of what we wanted to prove. Go ahead.
Well, I think in this sentence that you, or the statement that you just made,
Sure.
the essence of what the person is trying to say is more important than words.
Yes.
Looking beyond
Okay.
words is most important in this moment than trying to just take it verbally.
Yeah, of course. And that's where we get into this is a perfect segue to talk about morals, subjectivism. Okay, so regarding objectives and subjective truths, opinions do not matter, and they don't really make a difference in changing changing truth, right? So what are some subjective truths that you guys know?
Light is over there, but is it really?
Is it really? Yeah. So I like music, right? That's. Thank you, and you can't. That's a subjective thing. So yeah. So that would be more of a objective truth. So thank you so much. So something that is you're claiming that sincerely believing, or that it's something that makes it right or true. So or also in negative. I don't know why I wrote this. It's weird. Anyways, so it's something that is that you claim or that you feel, right? So okay, so let's pretend that there is a truth continuum, right? So that whatever is objectively true right here, whatever you think is subjectively truth is right here, right? Where do you put the moral statement that abortion is wrong? Abortion is wrong. Where do you put it?
Subjective.
Subjective. Okay.
But it can actually be put in both the sections,
Oh, yeah.
You could. You actually could. Right.
depending on the circumstances.
Sure. Because yeah. So, and you're right. You're right because it is subjectively wrong to, you can have that truth of like, abortion is wrong. Or someone else could have another opinion or their truth, right, quote unquote, saying, "Oh no, abortion is okay," right? That is pretty much okay. So it's your assessment and experience and feeling towards it. Oh, So like, do you use reason and rationality for this truth making? Right. I mean, you kind of would say yeah, right? So is morality subject to your interpretation?
Not sure yet,
Not sure.
but I think it might be objective, and we're trying to figure it out.
Okay, sure. Anybody else?
I think it has to be subject to your interpretation because
Okay.
if you assimilate an understanding that's not subject to your interpretation, it's gibberish.
Okay. All right. Anybody else want to jump in? Go ahead.
There is no right or wrong, only consequences.
Only consequence. I like that. There you go. Now, so subjectivists would say that not only are moral truths not important, they're the most important things to human beings. And you can't tell another person that they're wrong for liking or disliking something, right? Like, you can't tell me that I'm wrong for disliking like a certain flavor or ice cream, right? That's just silly. It's pretty silly. Now this is where cultural relevance. So the most widely known subjectivism is cultural relativism. Now, cultural relativism states that moral statements or moral standards are culturally imposed. So societies make their moral choices based on their unique beliefs, customs, and practices. And in fact, people tend to believe what the right moral values are. What the right moral values are the values that exist in their own culture. So if you go to a different culture, their whatever you practice might be completely wrong for them. So this is subjectivism. Now, also known as moral relativism is the idea that there are no universal truths, and everything is set upon moral. That there are no universal or absolute set of moral principle truths. And moral truths exist, but they're not based on universal standards, right? So we could critique this. So one of the biggest critiques that I found really is that there are disagreements for what is moral, right? From differing backgrounds, locations, even times of judging. Right. For example, the Prohibition era. Right. So we as like a nation said, hey, alcohol is wrong, and now we banned it. Right. And then we unbanned it, and now we have alcoholic, advertisements and commercials everywhere we look. So that's what moral relativism is, or subjectivism is, and Another part of it's kind of segmenting into objective moralities is divine command theory. Does anyone know what divine command theory is? Divine command. What does that mean?
I like half that sentence.
Go ahead.
Well, it sounds like that there is some source of morality outside of ourselves, and that
Sure.
we follow the commands of the divine.
That's
We're in alignment with the divine.
That's almost exactly what it is. So divine command theory, either one or multiple deities. This is also a type of moral relativism. And morality is dependent on or related to God, right?
Can you please repeat that?
Yeah. So moral command theory argues that what is good and evil are determined by either one or multiple deities. Morality is basically subject to or dependent on God, basically, if you want to put it that way. And there is no justification necessary for what an action is to be right or to be wrong, other than God commands it so. So that's kind of like a little murky. So we're gonna go into natural law. I have two theories revolving objective morality. So there's there's common law, natural law that should be common law, and utilitarianism, and a little bit of deontology. So what is natural law, guys? Anyone? What is natural law?
Yeah, it's a set of like universal laws.
Is that a universal?
That control, or not control, but basically set like consequences in motion and
Yeah.
basically like align everything.
Absolutely.
It is what is.
It is what is, right? So I'm going to go over some key claims, right? So God, the creator, source, right? Source is the creator of morality. And morality is found in unchanging principles. Can anyone, because our our natural law theorists agree with that, right? So unchanging principles in moral law and in nature. So natural law is universal and applies to all humans at all times, indefinitely. Like there's nothing changing that. That is what it is. That's our objective, like, theories, right? Humans can access natural law through the use of reason, right? Can we all agree that morality, right? Okay. Man-made laws are authoritative only if they are just and consistent with the principles of natural law, right? So, like, if someone writes down something in legislature and it, corresponds to natural law, that law should be just. It's really, really rarely the case now, but that's really what it is. So we have some critiques of natural law, but I'm going to save that for a little bit later. So natural law is actually a teleological theory. So teleological means it comes from the Greek teleos, meaning I forgot what it means. But it means like
There's a purpose. We're going towards a particular outcome.
Right. So
it's far away and logical.
it's far away, exactly. So we're striving towards the consequences of it, right? So there are actions, and then there are consequences, right? So natural law says whatever actions is necessary for our what we want. Our consequences, that is what actions should be based on, and all those actions are true. They are in line with natural law, and this is why we are going towards this final effect. Whereas deontology really regards itself in what is the actions that are right and wrong. Not really the consequences, but more of the actions. So it's like we judge the actions to see what it is right or if it's wrong. And does anyone know Immanuel Kant? Yes, a little bit? Ish, a little bit? Cool. So he was a philosopher, and he was the biggest one that kind of coined the term deontology. And he issued that moral acts are either right or wrong on principle, okay? And what we have is a duty to do good no matter what the circumstances. So the action is what is important, regardless of the consequences that are produced. So therefore, the action therefore becomes our moral duty to enact. Basically, I'm running a little low on time, so I will speed up a little bit. So natural law kind of like, got the pass and its critique. Who here wants to hear like the critique of natural law? Why it's like not the best law or the best theory? This is one of the most controversial things that I kind of want to talk about, really. Sure.
Times and what could be applicable a few years ago would not be applicable a few years later, depending on the current situation.
Sure.
It won't be a truth anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Truth is always evolving.
That's a good one. That's very, very good. That's actually one of them that I wrote down. We're always in constant change. We don't really know what the end is, right? We don't really know what the consequences if we do. I mean, I would love to know what the consequences are if we are in line with natural law. That would be one of the best things ever. But we don't know that. We don't know if we're still in transitionary period, and I'm pretty sure we still are. All right, so I will skip to some.
Sorry, we're just running late.
It's okay. Yeah, we're running late. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so I will close off with some closing topics. Okay, very, very brief. Not too time consuming. So the Buddha once said that those who insist that what they believe is right and everyone else is wrong are like blind men who, when asked to describe an elephant, thought that one part of the elephant was the whole, right? So morality is not just a simple concept to be integrated without being wrong and thinking that everybody else is right, thinking everybody else is wrong, and thinking that you're right all the time. It's a multifaceted kind of phenomena, really. And number 2, the last one. Be mindful of your thoughts, actions, and emotions and words as they shape your existence and the world around you. In the 7 Hermetic principles, the first principle, and arguably the most important one, is that all is mind and that the universe is mental, right? Some natural law theorists claim that as morality in the world increases, so do our freedom. Right? And if morality declines, then so does our freedom. So, right? So since we're all in a collective world where everyone's thoughts, emotions, and actions affect you and vice versa, changing at least one mind can and ultimately will change the world. Thank you so much.
Get some attention.